Hey all, patch 30.4.3 drops today, probably about 1 p.m. Eastern time, because that's the usual. Maybe a little later for mobile players, of course, because it's going to pass through all their fun hoops they have to jump through. But we're here to jump into all the Battleground stuff, so let's look at the changes because there is quite a lot. All right, first I want to start with a comment from the devs. It's interesting to get a look into their mindset and what they're thinking while they're doing this, and here's a little snapshot they provided for us, but there are a lot of Battlegrounds adjustments this patch. We wanted to share our 3 main goals with this patch. 1, make trinkets cheaper so players have more decisions on their turns. 2, adjust the power of outlier minion types. And 3, increase the power of underperforming heroes. For trinkets, first we adjusted the cost and effects of many trinkets to bring the average cost closer to about 3 gold. Second, we increased the discount for pivot trinkets from 1 to 2, and the intent there is to make more trinkets feel like viable options for players to choose from. For minion types, we primarily wanted to bring down the power of demons. We're also nudging up the power of dragons, pirates, murlocs, elementals, and naga, and adjusting a few individual cards for over or underperforming. For heroes, we're focusing primarily on heroes that underperform at all ratings. We'll see how these changes play out and potentially adjust more in the future as needed. Finally, our infamous friend Leapfrogger. Leapfrogger is a very polarizing card that can be fun to play, but also frustrating to play against. We decided not to directly adjust it right now, but to instead swap out Mana Saber for Kindly Grandmother to make the build more vulnerable. We're planning on removing Leapfrogger in patch 30.6 and swapping Mana Saber back. So get your hops in now while you can. Ooh, spicy. Sorry, Leapfrogger friends. They finally realized they can't do anything about the animations. It takes up your opponent's shot phase, not giving them time to counter you sometimes, and they can't fix it, which feels weird. It seems like something that should still be fixable. If anything, just by speeding up things, I would think. But I don't know. I'm not sitting there on the dev end of it. For whatever reason, this is the fix. Now for the hero changes. We're going to start with Cthulhu. Used to be at the end of the turn, give a friendly minion +1/+1, replete 0 times, upgrades each turn. Now is at the end of the turn, give a friendly minion +2/+1, replete 0 times, upgrade each turn. Basically 1 more attack. Same cost. I mean, I don't like Cthulhu. I don't really know if this is going to be the thing to save him, but obviously if they went to 2, it would feel a little painful. I mean, I was thinking maybe make the cost 1 instead of 2, so it wasn't quite so pointless in the early game, but I'm assuming they tested it, and this is what they came out with being the best as a small change to see how it does. The Jailer just has a tiny change, goes from used to being give a minion +1/+1, upgrades after 9 friendly minions die, to now being the same buff, but upgrades after 7 friendly minions die. Much more reasonable. Obviously, it's easier to have 7 die instead of 9. We'll see how the difference plays out in the long run. I'm sure they looked at like the average numbers of kills that these heroes were getting, and they said, oh, okay, well, if we put it down to 7, this will make a difference. We'll see. Ragnaros with the small change also used to be after you kill 25 minions get Sulphurous. Now is kill 20 minions get Sulphurous. I mean, that certainly makes the hero power easier to unlock. We'll see if it's enough. I think it would make a big difference in my desire to play him, but once again, it also depends against the other heroes I'm lined up. Edwin, tiny nudge also. Give a minion +1/+1 upgrades after you buy 4 cards was the old version. Now it's the same upgrade, but 3 cards is all you need. And that's a 25% reduction. And obviously that is going to be easier to do. If you're in any kind of APM situation or have Divine Shields, there's lots of potential with Edwin now. And I think at 3, I mean, if they thought it worked at 4, reducing the cost by 25% is pretty massive. I think it'll be far more viable now. Saurfang went from give a minion +2/+1 doubles every 3 turns to +2/+2 doubles every 3 turns. I mean, I already liked Saurfang, and I know in some lobbies he was pretty hard to play and almost unplayable, but other lobbies with Divine Shields and whatnot, he was kind of nasty. I really think this has some potential. I'm excited to get some games in and see if it makes a big difference, because that health really did make a difference. You really felt that. Like, yeah, you hit harder, but you're still delicate. We'll see. And poor Guff. Guff's Hero Power Gut Reworked started at 30 tiers worth of cards to get a triple. Last time went down to 25 tiers worth of cards to get a triple. Now it's down to 20 tiers worth of cards to get a triple reward. Once again, you can cycle a good bit. I feel like this could be good. I played it once at 25. It didn't feel bad. It also didn't feel great. It felt like a weaker hero. At 20, this might have tipped the balance, because once you get to tier 5 and 6, you could cycle a lot of tier 5 and 6 cards and just print rewards. Just go to 5. Just cycle tier 5 cards. 4 of them gives you a triple every time, in addition to whatever benefit you get from the cards, especially if it's any economy. Captain Eudora got a tiny nudge, but that tiny nudge is a big nudge. It used to be you had to dig 5 times to get a golden minion and then that triple reward. Now you just have to dig 4 times. That's a big deal. I mean, if you think about it, typically you were only using this once per game. Maybe now you could go for it 2, 3 times. Now you can be a little greedier and go for a higher tier potential value minion out of it. This is a significant change, because if my memory serves me right, when it used to be 4 digs, it was broken back in the day. Now that was a different meta, different time, but that's still a significant decrease. I want to play it both ways, where either I can't use it constantly or I wait and just go for the big tier, 5 and less gold minion and a 6 triple. We'll see. Cariel Rome, little nudge, but not super played, at least in what I can see in any of my lobbies. Used to be give 2 friendly minions +1/+1. After you upgrade the tavern, choose an improvement, to now give 3 friendly minions +1/+1 with the same upgrading rule. I don't love this hero, but now where you're getting more minions that buff for that cost seems relatively reasonable. We'll see. I'd like to give it a shot. Pyramid still feels pretty lackluster after the change, but give a minion +1 health was the old thing where it upgraded once each turn, to now it starts at +2 health and +1 health each turn you don't use it. It's not bad. I think it'll do better at lower MMR if you're looking to have minions, just certain minion either move health around because it's a trickster or just not die. But I just don't really like Pyramid. If I'm given another option, I think I'd rather take that. Poor Ozomat keeps getting little changes, and well, apparently the last time wasn't enough. So they recently changed it to, when you have space in combat, summon a 1/1 tentacle with taunt, gains +1/+1 after you sell a minion, to now just slightly upgraded, when you have space in combat, summon a 2/2 tentacle that gains +1/+1 when you sell a minion with it. I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's got taunt, it's a 2/2. They just upped it 1/1, which is what it used to be before, except now if you have 7 minions, it'll slide on the board after you make space. So good change for Ozomat. I haven't played him yet, just because I'm usually offered things I'd rather play. We have some armor changes. There's a lot of them. They're in lower rank, higher rank duos. I'm just going to splash these on the screen here. If you need, there will also be a link in the comments below to the patch notes if you want to take a look at these, but there's not a whole lot to go over with this. Trinket pool changes. First, we have the discounted trinkets that are not in your type, commonly called pivot trinkets, are now discounted by 2 instead of 1, so cheaper. When you get offered that trinket, you're like, this doesn't make sense. I don't have any of these, because they want you to have an option to change from what you're doing. Lesser Kodo leather pouch, greater Kodo leather pouch, and greater Dalaran cheese wheel have been returned to the trinket pool with changes that I think we're going to see in a second. And greater Darnassus pie and greater twin sky lanterns have been removed from the trinket pool. Their lesser versions have been adjusted and moved into the greater pool. I mean, that tells you something. When they are so good, the greater ones, they just remove them, and then they take the lesser ones and move them up. It tells you they were a little too good, especially for me. Greater twin sky lanterns, I love to do that with Murlocs. Summon out 600 Bream counter. Oh look, there's 2 of them. Did I get 2 greater twin sky lanterns? There's 4 of them. GG. Lesser trinket changes, let's talk about them. A Dalaran cheese wheel has been changed ever so slightly. It is now going to upgrade after you refresh 5 times instead of 3, the same +1/+1 buff. Darnassus pie goes down to 0 gold from 1. Twin sky lanterns is now a greater trinket and not a lesser trinket. Calligraphy set goes from a Venge 5 To avenge 4, your blood gems still give 1 health. Instead of being 0, it's 1. Still don't think I like this, but sure. Yeah, we can do that. Nurglish Phrasebook works the same way, but now gives a +3/+2 buff instead of a 3/3 buff. Belcher Portrait used to be 5 gold, now goes to 3 gold, and once again, it still gives you a Belcher. It still gives the buff when they lose Venom, the minions who catch that Venom, but will only give a 3/3 buff instead of a 5/5 buff. Kodo Leather Pouch got a big buff. Used to be 0 gold after you buy a card, give a random friendly minion +2/+1, to now 2 gold after you buy a card, give 2 random friendly minions +2/+1. This seems pretty good. Like, it never was good before. It was kind of a desperation play, but getting 2, you mean you're doubling the value there. If you could cycle a lot of cards, it'd be very nasty. Shaker Portrait goes from 7 gold being a lesser trinket to 4 gold because it's a greater trinket. It makes sense. This is really good when you get it, and this will somewhat hurt Naga in so much that now you're not being offered the other really good greater trinket that you could be getting to make your spellcraft better, but you're still getting a Shaker with that ability. Yeah, it's fun. Lava Lamp used to be 6 gold after you sell 4 minions, get a random elemental, is now 2 gold after you sell 5 elementals, get a random minion. So it's a third cheaper, but you have to sell a lot more minion for that value. I don't know how much I like that. I'll play it to give it a shot, but I'm gonna be honest, I only got to play it once. It only was offered to me once. I don't play a lot of elementals in the early game typically, so I didn't get to experience it. I understand it was good, but never could bring myself to want to play elementals. Charging Staff went from being 4 gold at the end of your turn, give your minions with Divine Shield +4, to now being 2 gold at the end of the turn, give your minions with Divine Shield 3 attack. Feels like a fine change. It's pretty damn good, so it makes sense. I'd still want it in the same scenario, so I'm okay with it. Lore Walker's Scroll goes from 4 gold whenever you cast a spell on a minion, give it +2/+2, to 1 gold when you cast a spell on a minion, give it +2/+1. Still very good. Cheaper, so yeah, now we can tier up, and when we buy it, we can still cast spells for those buffs, so it still works. Blingtron Sunglasses goes from 2 gold to 1 gold, which still feels too expensive. Maybe make it -3 gold, and I'll think about it. Holy Mallet goes from 3 gold to 2 gold. Fine with that. The places I want that, I still want it. Yogg-tastic Pastry goes from 6 to 5 gold, same effects. Book of Medivh from 4 to 3, same. Token of the Old Gods used to be 0 gold spellcraft, transfer a minion into 1 from a tier higher, to now 2 gold spellcraft, choose a minion, discover a minion from a tier higher to transform into, and that is a massive change. First of all, 2 gold, yes please, I'll happily pay it now. I don't care. Meaning that I get to discover, choose from 3 instead of just getting a completely random ass minion. Yes, I happily want this. Raider Trinket changes, there's a few. Dalaran Cheese Wheel goes from 6 gold, minions in the tavern have +2/+2 every 3 times you refresh, to now 2 gold, minions in the tavern have +2/+2 every 5 times you refresh. Now that is a significant increase in the number of times you have to refresh. And with some of the minion changes we'll see later, that's going to be more impactful. I think this one we'll see a lot less of, and I don't care because it's kind of boring. When it worked really well, but it's kind of boring, right? I need to roll a bunch to get stats on my minions. Okay, roll. Yay, I win. Great Boar Sticker goes from being 7 gold, give your blood gems an extra +4/+4, to 3 gold, give your blood gems an extra +2/+2. This feels not nearly as good. This is a big cut in effectiveness. I never am a huge fan of Greater Boar Sticker, but I feel like I like it a lot less now. We'll see after I play some games. Calligraphy Set got the tiniest of changes, and this is 7 gold. It used to be, now it is 4 gold. The only difference is after your Revenge 4 triggers, you give +2/+1 instead of +2/+2. I don't feel like that's a huge difference. If I want Calligraphy Set, I'm still gonna take it. See. Nurglish Phrasebook goes from 4 gold to 3 gold, and now instead of giving a 6/6 buff, it gives a 5/5 buff. Okay, I'm still fine with that. It's still cycling a lot of cards. I'm still getting tons of stats. Perfectly okay with this. Belcher Portrait goes from being 4 gold to 3 gold, giving the exact same effect. You get a Belcher when a minion loses Venom. It gets 12-12 though, instead of 15-15. So it has been a tiny nerf. I still want it, that's fine. If I like that, it's still gonna be the one I take. Blood Golem sticker from 4 to 3. Bridge Magnet from 4 to 3. Then Kodo Leather Pouch, same deal, got a big buff. Used to be 0 gold after you buy a card, give a friendly random minion +5/+5 to 2 gold after you buy a card, give 2 random friendly minions +4/+4. And once again, I like that even more. Can I have the lesser one and the greater one in a Bran, please? Can I just play Bran into Menagerie and cycle all the cards? Because I feel like it'll be fun. Conductor Portrait got a big change. Goes from being 0 gold, get a Starling Conductor whenever you discard a card, play a Blood Gem on 5 friendly minions, to now get a Starling Conductor for 2 gold whenever you discard a card, play a Blood Gem on all your minions. So now you buff everything, not just some of them. More expensive, but you're buffing everybody. I'm okay with it. Balladus, big changes here, folks. Went from 0 gold, get a Lovesick Balladus at the start of each turn, get another, to now 3 gold, get a Lovesick Balladus at the start of each turn, get another. Your Lovesick Balladuses also give attack. That's massive, because right now, that's a lot of attack typically you're throwing around. It's already health in a good quantity you're throwing at people, but that just wasn't enough by itself to justify this being your greater trinket. But maybe the attack also, if you're cycling enough cards, be interesting to see. I'm at least intrigued. Belbat Portrait from 9 gold to 6 gold. Jar O Gems from 3 gold to 4 gold. Exquisite Dishware from 5 to 4 gold. Bob's Tip Jar goes from being gain 3 gold, increase your max gold by 3, to now gain 4 gold, increase your max gold by 4. I mean, I'm still not super excited. It really depends on what the other ones I'm offered to, but I almost never want to take this. But if 4 gold's better than what the other ones are, I guess it makes sense. Let's see. Book of Medivh goes from 5 gold to 4 gold. Windrunner Necklace goes from 4 gold, your leftmost minion has +20 attack, to 3 gold, your leftmost minion has +15 attack. It's a decent reduction in attack. If I want it, I'm still gonna take it though, so I'm okay with it. Poor Karazhan chess set. This thing is not really a chess set anymore. You'll see. Old, it used to be 9 gold, start a combat, summon a copy of your 2 leftmost minions, to now 5 gold, start a combat, summon a copy of your leftmost minion. Used to be a lot better. It was still decent. I think they just made it almost unplayable. There's still times where that's really good, right? Depends what one of your minions are. 2 copies of it, fan-damn-tastic. Once again, depends what you have. Spite Scale Sushi Roll goes from 7 gold to 5 gold. This is already really good, so I'm fine with that. Minion pool changes. We have just a couple little things, but Mana Saber has been removed from the minion pool. Kindly Grandmother and Slither Spirit Lord of the Gain has been added. Definitely, I love seeing Mana Saber go. There's nothing more irritating than Lich King, turn 1. You play a minion without thinking, and then Lich King sitting there with a Mana Saber Reborn. You're like, well, would have saved a lot of health if I just not played my card. Fun. Minion changes. There's quite a few of these too. Tiny change here. Salt Scale Honcho goes from a 3/2 to a 3/3. Mercules goes from a 5/2 to a 5/3. Lock Prince is just a tiny change, goes from a 2/2 whenever this gains stats, add +2/+2 wherever this is, to a 3/2 whenever this gains stats, add 3/2 to that amount wherever this is. Not a bad change. I don't dislike this card. It's just often awkward when it arrives and what you're supposed to do with it. The right situations, it's great. And most of the time, it just feels like a dead card. Merglin Burglar went from a 6/6 after you play a Murloc, give a friendly minion and a minion in your hand +6/6, to new 8/8 after you play a Murloc, give a friendly minion and a minion in your hand 4/4. I still think this is very good. I don't care about its baseline stats so much. Yeah, it's a 33% reduction in the bonus it gives on stats, but it's still a significant buff to a minion on your board, to a minion on your hand. I still like it if I'm cycling a lot of cards, which Murlocs are known to do sometimes, so I still feel like this is perfectly playable. Crackling Cyclone goes from a 4/1 to a 5/1. Sleeping Sea Glass goes from a 3/3 to a 4/4. Still don't want to buy it till the shop's buffed. I'm going to never say that name again, because that's probably the first time I've said that name correctly In a long time, my stream has got to laugh at me many times trying to say that name, so I'm glad I got it out right. Living Azurite goes from a 4/4 to a 6/6, same effect. I don't think the stats matter so much with this minion. If you want to play it, you're still going to play it, but if you get the portrait now, at least it's better. Pilgrim goes from a tier 4 3/4 to a tier 5 3/5 with the same effect. Still very good. I'm okay with it. Malchezaar, this hurts, goes from being a tier 3 4/3 to a tier 4 5/4. Now that's a big difference. Yeah, it's only moving up a tier, but this is a card you're already digging for pretty hard when you're playing demons. And if you move it up a tier, that just means there's less of them in the pool. So I'm definitely sad to see this one going up a tier, but for all the games where I don't get to play demons, I'm very happy. Famished Fellbat goes from being an 8/5 at the end of your turn, your demons consume a minion in the tavern to gain its stats, to now a 9/6. At the end of your turn, your other demons consume a minion in the tavern to gain its stats. This is exactly how it used to be, if I remember right. So no big difference. It just doesn't buff itself. Now, if you have two of them, technically they'll buff themselves because they'll each buff each other. But that's the big change. I don't really feel like this is a problem. If you want to play giant demons, you still want this on your board. It's still there. I mean, I guess technically it's a semi-nerf to you if you're running cultist, because this could survive and later and be the smallest minion on your board, and it could die, so it fills your cultist. But that just means the rest of your board is fantastic, so not so bad. Limb Guardian goes from a 1/3 to a 1/4, making it a lot less of a, oh, coin flip, why win or lose, and a much better early minion, I think, now. Amber Guardian goes from a tier 5 7/7, start of combat, give another dragon plus 7/7 and divine shield, to now a tier 4 5/5, start of combat, give another friendly dragon plus 5/5 and divine shield. And this is great if you're playing dragons anyways, because you want this early so you can start divine shielding your things permanently, hopefully, and then win some games. Hunter of Gatherer goes from a tier 4 3/5, whenever this gains attack, give your minions +1 health, to now a tier 5 4/6, whenever this gains attack, give your minions +2 health. I can only describe this as awkward. At tier 4, it was a little better. Mind you, I don't play dragons very much right now, but that health buff was significant at 1 at tier 4. 2 at tier 5 makes this a little awkward, and like, where do I fit this? And if you triple into this at tier 4, you're not really happy unless you've got the perfect setup, and even then, I almost rather find a brand. I mean, it depends what we're playing, of course, and what trinkets we have, but not in love with this. Clunker Junker goes from being a tier 4 3/4 to a tier 5 4/5, which means less of them, which is frustrating if you're looking for one, because triple into it if you're lucky and it's a battle cry and you just get a magnetic, so it doesn't feel super good. But Respot goes from a 1/4 after a friendly minion loses divine shield, give it +1/+1 permanently, to a 2/5 after a friendly minion loses divine shield, give it +2/+1 permanently. It still has divine shield baked in. It's got a little better stats. I mean, obviously it has to lose its shield before it can die, so it's gonna buff itself. I feel like this might be a little better. I don't want to say it's playable yet, because it still feels slow, but it's vastly more playable than it was earlier today. Ice Fisher goes from being a tier 5 2/2 to a tier 4 3/3, and I like this card the earlier I can get it. Moving it to tier 4 means you could get this relatively early. If you do get a heavy cycle build, this thing can be massive. I have had it carry me. Tripling into this early and just cycling a lot of cards, you can make an absolute monster. But it's harder at tier 5, obviously. So now this is going to be much better. I can't wait to try. Predator Wrangler goes from being a tier 5 3/5 to a tier 4 2/5 with the same ability. When you cast spells on a minion, give it +2/+2 extra. I mean, not bad. If you like it, it's still good. And now it's earlier, those stats will matter a lot. I feel like that's a really good stat bump it's giving at tier 4. So we'll see. This seems like a good change for this. Corrupted Myrmidon goes from being a 3/3 to a 4/4. This still doesn't feel super playable as it stands now. Like, looking at it with yesterday's meta, I still don't want this. Adding 1/1 does not intrigue me at all. Maybe if you made it a 10/10, yeah, okay, now I'm super game. But a 4/4 feels like, yeah, you're still too little. But there are some other changes to Naga, so maybe it'll work. Speaking of changes to Naga, Tide Mistress Athissa goes from tier 6 6/8. Whenever you cast a spell, give 4 friendly Naga +1/+1, to tier 5 2/7. Whenever you cast a spell, give 3 friendly Naga +1/+1. This is a massive change, and I think this makes Athissa far more playable, and it just makes me think that if we go forward with the rest of these patch notes and I don't say Kalecgos is getting a change, someone at Blizzard actually hates dragons who's in charge, because it makes no sense. All the buffs and nerfs this thing has seen over the years. But poor Callie is sitting back there going, you gave me a little bit of health. Maybe my tier and ability is the problem. Thundering Abomination, not a big change, but a good change. Goes from being a 3/6 whenever you summon a minion in combat, give it +3/+2. If there's no space, gain +3/+2 permanently, to now 2/6 whenever you summon a minion in combat, give it +3/+3. If there's no space, gain +3/+3 permanently. So it's not quite as big, it's a hair smaller. It just got less attack, and it gives more stats. Not a bad change. I'm okay with it. If where this minion fits, it still fits. Lightfang Enforcer gets another buff. Goes from an 8/6 at the end of your turn, give a friendly minion of each type +4/+3, to now an 8/8 at the end of your turn, give a friendly minion of each type +4/+4. And I still don't want it on my board. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Yeah, there's a couple scenarios where this is playable, but I still feel like, yeah, you've raised the stats this much from what it was, and it's still just trash. Could we bring back some of the other menagerie things you've taken away in the past? They're all better than this, unless you somehow combine this with a Drukhari Enchanter, in which case, okay, now it's great. Tavern spell changes. Portal in a Bottle goes from tier 5, 2 gold, to tier 4, 3 gold. I don't really play duos, so I don't know. Maybe that's good. Maybe it's bad. Seems like it's good. Less people are using it against you, but Robust Evolution goes from 2 gold to 1 gold. I mean, that makes it a lot easier to buy, right? 2 gold, you're like, it's almost a minion. And 1 gold, you're like, random, but good. Channel the Devourer goes from 4 gold to 3 gold. My issue with this isn't the cost, it's that I can't find the damn thing when I need it. I need more of them. Put it at tier 4, please. It feels like I'm never finding this when I need it. And when I don't need it, when my shop's tiny and I can't find it in Scrolled Fungus, I've got 4 of the damn things. Come on, make them more common. And we have just one bug fix, but it's a good one. They fixed a bug where various hero powers, buddies, and tavern spells didn't work correctly with Bobblehead Trinket. Now, I generally don't take that trinket because I think it kind of sucks. There are scenarios where it's good, but I typically don't find myself in them, luckily. And from what I understand, what I've read is this is hero powers giving you minions that shouldn't be in the pool. If you have this trinket active, that's a good change. If you like this trinket, you will feel a lot more value out of it. So, there you go. That's it, folks. That is the patch. There are a lot of changes there, a lot of minion changes, a lot of trinket changes. It's going to take a little while for us to absorb it all and see what's good. It's going to take me a little while to edit this video and get this out in time. Damn it, I need to hurry up. It's already almost 1 o'clock. Thanks for watching all. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned a few things. If you like this, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I want to know what you think. I want to know if you're enjoying these videos, because damn it, I like to talk to people. That's what I do all day. Hey, I'm on Twitch sometimes. If you want to look there, look in the description for the schedule. They'll let you know, give you the link and all that good stuff. Catch you next time. Have a good one. Later.